After taking a week off to hang out at some other parks, I made my way back to Fun Spot Atlanta this week to discover a ton of new progress. What's up guys, Dr. Coaster here on behalf of the Georgia Coaster Connection, and welcome back to another ArieForce One Construction update. Before we get started, I just want everyone to know that all photos and footage included in any of these construction updates are free to use with credit. I'd also like to thank my Georgia Coaster Connection partner Christopher as we gather this content together. I'll link his pages down below. Last week, I initially had plans to make it out to Fun Spot Atlanta like I always do to check in on the status of ArieForce One's construction. But I was told by a few friends that had just been to the park the day prior that there wasn't a ton of new progress to report on. So I went ahead and took a break, and now we're coming back to you this week. It seemed like the crews were focused on wrapping up the finishing touches on the Raven Truss dive before moving on to the rest of the layout this week. And spoiler alert, that's definitely what I found during my visit. Fun Spot and RMC continued their mission of transforming this charming little park this week, while I unfortunately once again started my coursework. Time has been at a premium, but I hadn't seen anything new posted to social media this week, so I was anxious to see what had transpired while I was gone. I know it's been a while, so let's do a quick refresh as to where we left off last time. Before my absence, RMC had begun installing the transfer track and pre-lift sections of ArieForce One, and we were starting to get a glimpse at the beginnings of electrical work on the ride. The quad down to Raven Truss dive were nearing completion, and we were just waiting to see what RMC's next move was going to be. While RMC kept themselves busy with all of that hoopla, Fun Spot prepared to add a new set of flyers to the park after adding a tilt-a-whirl just recently, and paved a new parking lot. So before we get into the coaster, let's start right there. It appears that Fun Spot has been letting the asphalt sit and smooth it out a little bit over the course of the past 2 weeks. Nothing too crazy, but this isn't a project that's super urgent by any means. I'd expect this to open towards the end of this season, maybe even at the start of next season. It really depends on what they want to do with the rest of the lot, which I would imagine is going to get paved during the off season, or if they decide to do it sooner, then I could see the other paved parking lot opening this season. As for the flyers, this is what they looked like last time I was here. And wow, this is what they look like now. They are now completely installed, or at least close to it, with electronics and components installed as well. This ride is situated between the tilt-a-whirl and the Samson go-kart track, and I imagine it will be open in the coming weeks. Staying true to the red, white, and blue color scheme really looks incredible sitting in the shadow of ArieForce One. Okay, now on to the coaster itself. Let's head behind the arcade to see if anything has changed there since we were back there last time I was here. Due to how busy RMC has been elsewhere, there hasn't been much going on back here, which shouldn't come as a surprise whatsoever. The track I had spotted before is still back in storage and it hasn't moved anywhere, and the trench that I noticed last time has now been filled. After thinking about it some more, I think this may have had to do something with the installation of the flyers, as the timing and location of it seemed to line up pretty well. Anyway, we'll continue to check back here each week, because I don't think it'll be much longer until we see the chili dip and barrel roll come into form. And I say that because of what I found in front of the arcade. So let's head up there right now. Right up against the arcade, I didn't see much of anything new quite yet. However, the supports are still numbered and lined up here and appear ready to shoot up whenever RMC wants them to. Well, that's some old news. This next part certainly isn't. Turn towards the front of the park and the beginning of the layout, and you'll see these very sturdy looking supports. And I don't think there's really any question as to what these will be used for. These have got to be the supports for the barrel roll and chili dip that one day soon in the very near future will hold these elements up as they pass over the arcade. Speaking of passing over things, we've talked about what to expect going forward with regards to the walkway. I had speculated many times that there would be a place to walk beneath the big drop and quad down in order to access the Scream and Swing and Kiddie sections of the park. I wasn't sure how this was going to work, but I just had a gut feeling that this would be the case, especially after seeing the new park map that Fun Spot unveiled just a few weeks ago. With the help of ML Designs, he pointed out the extensions on the supports on each side of the walkway that aren't found on other sets of supports nearby. He also attached this picture of what it should approximately end up looking like. Now this is just a sketch, but just imagine those are the supports. This was super helpful and I could definitely see this being the end result here. If you aren't already, be sure to go check out his channel and Instagram pages. He also made one of the earliest, if not the first, rendering of ArieForce One out there. I'll leave his information in the description. Be sure to go check him out. While the supports we just discussed belong to the quad down, I'm sure we can expect the exact same for the supports holding up the big drop. The quad down, or at least portions of it, have been standing for a while now, but we haven't been able to see any progress on the out portion of the straightaway containing the big drop. Until now. What you're seeing here are the first supports installed for the double up heading into the big drop and barrel roll. As you can see, RMC was actively working here, and the cranes have both moved down to this side of the layout from the previous locations up to the front of the ride. This element will extend down towards the arcade, and it will actually pass over the snack bar and ticket booth seen here. While it may be perplexing to imagine that right now, what bent my mind more was the profiling of the entrance of the double up heading down out of the outer banked airtime hill. I made sure to grab a shot of these supports down at ground level to really show off just how awesome this transition is going to be. This is just another testament to the ridiculous pacing and whip that there will be on ArieForce One. As I continued my walk down to the front of the park, I was greeted with further progress on the transfer track where RMC was actively working during my visit to get the catwalk and track into place on the supports. The second of the two cranes was positioned here, and I'd expect this to be completed very soon. As for the outer banked airtime hill, I didn't see anything that would indicate any progress there, and the same goes for the station, as of right now. It's been difficult to predict which elements or parts of the ride that RMC will work on next. But one thing I can continue to show off, however, is the progress on the pre-lift section. Last time I was at the park, RMC had just installed the first of two bunny hills, indicating what the first two elements in the ride were going to be. This week we can see the second one is now in place as well, leaving me wondering what the drop out of the station will look like. These bunny hills really could be a bit of a sleeper moment on the ride, at least for me. I know I thoroughly enjoyed the pre-lifts on other RMCs, and I'm sure this one will be no different. Nearby the pre-lift section, we can also see that further electrical work has been done to further prepare ArieForce One to head down the home stretch of construction. I'm certainly no expert on all the wires and such associated with the ride, nor am I going to pretend to be, so I won't even try to guess what all this is about. But it is near the chain lift and future side of the station, so my money would probably be on something involving that. Taking a look at the beginning of the layout now, it appears that RMC is completely done with this part of the ride. The chain lift, first drop, Raven Truss dive, and 0G stall all look to be completely finished, and the other pieces of the track and supports that were lining this area have been organized and moved further down towards the future side of the outer banked airtime hill and station. Whenever this ride is able to open, you better believe I'm going to be one of the first ones in line. And while I still got your attention, if you're watching this and you were one of the nearly 40 people, yes, 40 people, that made it out to the first ever Georgia Coast Connection meetup last weekend, once again, thank you so much. The event was an absolute hit, and we've heard nothing but positive things. We're aiming to do 1 to 2 more meetups like that before the end of the year, and I'll be sure to announce them when the plans are solidified. Thank you all for watching. That was the 24th of many ArieForce One construction updates to come. If you don't want to miss out on more construction updates like this, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, as many more will be coming out, leading up to the opening of the ride. If you haven't already, then also be sure to follow Georgia Coast Connection over on Instagram, your home for all things ArieForce One. If you're feeling inclined, then you can follow me as well, at Dr_Coaster. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.